Good, good morning. Good morning. I see Curtis is displaying the Bengals. What a win. Holy smokes. So I just have a question here, Liz. Who are you going to be going for when the Bengals and the Eagles meet together in the Super Bowl?
Is that even a
Oh
question?
boy. I'm going to have to mute her because she's going to say some things to me that you guys don't want to hear.
And the question is, do you want to play Cincinnati or you want to play Kansas City? That's what you
I mean, I'm not afraid of who we're gonna play because I know we're gonna win. So with that being said, I mean, go Birds. Go Birds.
I just don't think your quarterback has the confidence young Joe Burrows has. I'm kidding. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I love you, Liz. Hopefully you still care about me too.
She's going to cut you. She'll cut you.
I've been cut before. I've been hit before. That's okay. I've gone through it all.
Hey, Tom, I'm just happy to say that Tom Brady isn't there and he's getting his comeuppance.
Well, you know what? I'm so
That's
so
a
glad
boo.
you guys. I'm so glad everyone else is having an opportunity now. You know, he's had his fair share, right, of 20-something years of being in the playoffs year after year after year.
Well, it's easy when you cheat, Tom. It's easy.
Listen, no matter what it takes, get there. That's all it is. Just get to your destination. Get there regardless. It
That's
doesn't
true.
matter.
As a coach, I would say by hell or high water, whatever it takes, if you're behind goal, you've got to get there.
Isn't that what we talk about? Isn't that what's on the grit shirt? Whatever it takes. You know, obviously, I don't agree with a lot of things, but honestly, whatever it takes, get to your destination. Because here's the thing. There's going to be haters no matter what you do. No, there's going to be haters no matter how successful you are. And what they want you to do is pull you down. So getting this stuff done, you know, Curtis has come up with the, you know, getting shit done, making things happen. You don't hear me cuss hardly ever. And I said it because it's on the display for today, making ideas happen. But the reality is everything that we've heard over the last couple of weeks, and by the way, our year from January 1st to now with our masterminds, with the input, with the momentum, with all the things that are being presented to our masterminds has been nothing but momentum. But here's what I consistently hear time in, time out, again and again and again, is consistency on the activities that are money-driven activities will create the results no matter what. I read Inman this morning and I was sitting there going, makes sense, right? So if you think about the real estate business 20 years ago, it was about lead generation, not sitting there going, I'm going to go on social media because I don't like to talk to people. I don't get it. So in Inman, it said Zillow, Realtor.com. All those leads are fading out quickly. The most important thing you can do is double down on your lead generation to your sphere of influence, your past clients, and invest in them. And the money that you were spending on the lead, the paid leads, invest in your database, in your sphere of influence. You will come out on top. Here's the problem with that. We got so comfortable not doing that. Now we got to go back to it. So we got to retrain, reprogram, and become more consistent. So Coach Curtis, Debbie, and DJ, we're talking about getting it done, right? So it's all yours now. By the way, I keep going alternative vote. You know, we got great people in our group. Vote. So keep voting every day, guys. Get our leaders in there to speak. They deserve the opportunity to be on that stage because some of the speakers that I've seen in there, they're doing it for their own ego, and the message will not be as rewarding to everyone as they think. It's all about them, not about others. So anyway, Curtis, you're on mute.
Listen, you know, Curtis and I mastermind all week about these Friday calls, right? In other words, we've been spending the last month or so talking about the 12-week year and the benefit of shortening your goals and focusing on a quarterly goal instead of a year-long goal. Because when we say we want to close 12 deals in 2023, well, it's January, and if we haven't closed one, we have the perception that we have 11 months. We can still close 12. It's just a little bit more. But if you're focusing on 3 deals in 90 days and you don't have a buyer or seller under contract for your one in January, that puts a little bit more artificial pressure, because now you're 1/3 of what you want to accomplish this quarter is not available to you. So it inspires you, just tricking your brain from saying I have a 12-month goal to a 3-month goal. And instead of 12 deals in 12 months, I'm going to get 3 deals in 3 months. It shortens the goal and it inspires habits and action plans, right? We feel more artificial pressure than if we had the whole year. So, would you acknowledge that if you had a goal of 12 and you didn't close one yet, you'd be like, oh, I got time, I'll make it up. But if you didn't close one and you needed to close 3, and you knew you actually only have a window of about 30 days to get those 3 under contract if they're going to close by the end of the first quarter. So now you have an artificial sort of pressure that helps you focus on action. So the recommendation is to shorten your goal into 90-day increments, because it will create a better action plan and it will create more massive action to be able to actually hit your goal. I just wanted to recap that for the people that may not have been on some previous calls. So that was the first thing. And then we talked about creating that action plan, because very often we hear agents that say, what's your goal? I want to close 12 in the next 12 months. Great. What's your plan? I'm going to close 12. Wait, what? How are you going to close 12? Well, I'm going to do what I've been doing. Well, has what you've been doing got you 12 last year? Well, no. What are you going to do differently? I'm going to work harder. So what we also talked about was a clear action plan, right? Very often we have lead measures and lag measures. So a lag measure is I want to close 12 transactions. That happens after we take the action. So that's a lag measure. A lead measure is, what are the action steps that's going to lead me to closing 12? I'm going to lead generate for 2 hours every day. I'm going to talk to, and even that's not enough, right? Because that's not specific enough. If you are a participant or a graduate of Grit, we're going to do the 30 hard. We're going to talk to 5 new people every day. We're going to send 5 text messages. We're going to send 5 emails. We're going to do 5 follow-ups, and we're going to do a post on social media. That's an action plan. Now, the benefit of having an action plan is that in 30 days, you can look at that action plan and said, is that action actually going to get me to my goal? Because maybe 5 isn't enough in this market, or maybe the 5 you call, who you're calling isn't enough, right? Maybe you need to focus on the database you're calling. Are you calling your sphere of influence? Are you calling past clients? Are you cold calling? Are you door knocking? Who are you calling? Because that action plan will determine whether you hit that goal. And so that's a lead measure. So we shared with you some strategies on how to create an action plan. So the action plan from Grit. So I apologize, Curtis. I'm letting the cat out of the bag. I'm talking about our 30 hard. But listen, if you do 30 hard, you have to promise me you're going to come to Grit, because that's just one teeny tiny part. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that will help you hit your goal. So it's 5 new two-way conversations every day, 5 new two-way conversations. Now, if you did an open house on the weekend, you can call those 5, but they have to answer for you to count it. If they don't answer, You don't count it because it's not a two-way conversation. 5 text messages. Now they also have to be two-way. If you send a text message to 5 past clients, say, hey, how's it going? They don't text you back. You can't count that. It's got to be two-way. 5 emails. Now you can pick who these people go to. And then 5 follow-ups. In other words, follow-ups are the people that you did an open house 2 weeks ago that maybe you didn't speak to yet. You're going to follow up again because you didn't speak to them 2 weeks ago. You're going to follow up them, or you did speak to them. Either way, it's 5 follow-ups, right? So, and then 1 social media post a day. But again, if you took grit, we talk about why your social media isn't getting you business. We know that's not the topic of today's, but we talk about how to get more business from social media in grit. But whatever. So what's your action plan, right? So we have the plan, and we're narrowing it to 30 to 90 days, a quarter, right? 3 months, 12 weeks. And then we have to have a lead measure, an action plan. How many conversations, and by the way, and you all know this, your success in real estate is directly related to the number of two-way conversations you have every day. And if you haven't figured out how to do that, then it might be helpful for you to get a coach, be a part of a group coaching, be in a mastermind, so that it can help you get into action. So having peers helps you get into action. And today, what we want to talk about is actually now organizing your day, right? So part of the 12-week year is to have a goal, have a plan, and then have a structured way to organize your day. All right, Curtis, you up.
Who day? Nobody but me. I see Liz shaking her head though. There, Bill Bliss. Thank you, Bill Bliss. Appreciate you. I don't know about Tom with his Go 49ers. Whatever. Hey, so thank you, Deb, for laying that out there. So we were talking about getting stuff done, right? So Tom swears I don't. I'm better. He's not. But here's the thing. Tom, it was recorded and you're swearing. You know that, right? Anyway.
I cussed one time on these calls and it was the SHIT word.
Yeah, well, you weren't supposed to say it. That's why all the little asterisks and thingies are there. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I get it. All right, so we were talking about the 12-week year, and we were talking about getting stuff done. And I think this is one of the biggest challenges that we all struggle with is, how to effectively manage our time. And it's really not that we're managing time, it's managing ourselves and the time that we have, right? And so I was just reading here, and you can, no answer, but it talks about the common pitfalls that people have or the issues that they have. And just think to yourself, maybe this applies to you. And so it says here's the common pitfalls. You conduct business as usual. It's unproductive to allow your old time allocation habits to drive your activity. It's easy to fall into old habits because they're comfortable and you can apply them with little effort, right? So you conduct business as usual. You just go on about your day. You don't focus on one thing at a time, meaning in your time blocks. You allow distractions to steal your attention. You think being busy is the same thing as being productive. I don't know about you, but I know I fall into a couple of those things. And so then here's what it says. Everything we achieve in life happens in the context of time. The important things will get done only if we allocate time to them. One of the building blocks of our success is the ability to spend time only on what matters the most. And I think that's where we all struggle because of these distractions and because we allow for them and because we don't allocate the time necessary to those things that are most important. Now, Deb just laid out what could be an action plan for some of you. And yet now the big thing is then taking that, transferring it over to your calendar and making certain that it happens and not allowing anything to get in the way, period. Because those are the most important things. See, I'll help you with one thing. I had this conversation the other day with my group of loan originators. We talked. I said, make a list. All the stuff you have to do today, and they did that. And I'm sure you guys all have incredible to-do lists as well. You probably, at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day, you sit there and write down and you just start writing. You say, I got 25 things I got to do today. Woo! And I set out to get them all done, right? You're just like, man, I am just going to start going down the list. Well, here's the deal. Before you start going down the list, I want you to take a look at that list. And I just want you to identify the 4, maybe 5 things on there that actually matter the most. In other words, those things that are going to get you closer to your goal. See, you started at the top of the list and you just wrote all this stuff down. And the reality is the thing that you put at the top was not the most important thing. It was only the first thing that you thought of. So I want you to change your thought around that. I want you, before you start down that list, to go back and identify 3, 4, 5 things and circle them that are the most important things that are going to get you closer to your goal, and just start changing the way that we think. Deb, what do we call that?
Well, we call it prioritizing, right? There's the story of Andrew Carnegie, and I don't know the story completely. A guy came to him and says, I'm a productivity specialist, and I'd like to meet with all your managers and help them be more productive. And Carnegie says, well, how much do I got to pay you? He says, I want you to pay me what it's worth. And so he went and met with all the managers. Carnegie didn't know what he was talking about. And all of a sudden, the productivity skyrocketed. And it was a very simple task. It was writing down the night before everything you need to do, prioritizing it, and then focusing on the top 6. And then the next morning, starting on number 1, because it's the highest priority, and not doing anything else until number 1 was done. And then moving on to number 2, number 3. 6 months later, Carnegie's productivity went through the roof, and he wrote a check for 25 grand to the dude that helped him with that. So using that strategy is a very simplistic strategy. Although there's something that we've studied when we created Grit to understand what are the most successful productivity hacks that people are talking about. And we actually discovered a process called time boxing. I don't know about you. How many of you have really pretty color-coded calendars with all the things that you're supposed to be doing, like lead generate 9 to 11, go on appointments in the afternoon, and then you have personal stuff interspersed? Well, having a pretty calendar is not productive, right? Because I don't know about you, it's predetermined. I've preset it. And so I don't always adhere to the time block that is pre-written into that calendar. So we actually found business owners were surveyed to find the best productivity hack. Now, can you do the get things done? Are there all kinds? You can do the bullet journal. There's all kinds of strategies like that. But when it came to time blocking, business owners were united in saying that time boxing was actually the most effective way to get things done. And it kind of combines what Curtis is talking about prioritizing. It combines that with time blocking on your calendar. Now, I'm going to show you, I'm not an affiliate for Amazon. I'm going to show you a visual. It's the only one that I could find that was decent. I couldn't find the one that we had, and that visual was terrible. I'm going to show you the visual, then I'm going to walk you through it. So can I share my screen? Do I have the ability to share my screen? I do. Okay.
You should.
Yep, I do. So does everybody see this that says the little workbook there? I can't actually see everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
We
hold on.
did.
So
Yes.
this is an example, but you can do this on a plain piece of paper. Now, do you see the brain dump, which is in the lower left quadrant? That's the part that Curtis is talking about. Now, you could do this the night before. I like to do it the night before because I feel like my brain works on things when I tell it what's important to me. So the first thing is the brain dump, right? Writing everything down. And then the top left box is the top priorities. Now there's only room for 3. You can do this on a piece of paper. You can come up with 6, but you brain dump and then you put your top priorities in the left-hand side. The right-hand side is your calendar. Now you don't have to use a piece of paper. You can move it into whatever calendar you use to keep your day organized. But the key is to time block your calendar live every 24 hours. So what you do is you then take these top priorities and you move them into your calendar. You schedule them. You set an appointment for yourself. So number 1, lead generate. Always going to be number 1, never not going to be number 1. I don't care if you have a deal falling apart. It can, one of my favorite mentors once said, no matter what's on fire, you can put the fire out at noon. You can address it, or a quick email won't take any more time. Do that before you start your day. Do that at 7 a.m. If you got hair on fire stuff, handle it before you start your official day. So then you take your top priorities and you actually schedule them onto your calendar. For instance, lead generate. I'm going to do that from 9 to 11. I'm going to put that right on my calendar right now. Follow-up. Maybe your follow-up is broken out separately. We recommend that your follow-up is actually not part of your lead generation time. So maybe follow-up is second. And then maybe third is to manage all of the sellers and buyers are under contract, and that maybe that takes about an hour. You got to send a document here. You got to send out an updated addendum. You got to reach out to a title company. You got to call a lender. And so then maybe that's the third priority, and you put them on your calendar. So the first one goes on 9 to 10 or 9 to 11. The second one, which is your follow-up, maybe is 1 to 1:30. You put that on your calendar, and then handling all of the, your current under contracts, maybe that gets done from 2 to 3. Now it's on your calendar.
Deb?
Yeah.
Well, and one thing just that, and you're 100% correct on all of that. And the one thing we have to do, so let's say I say I'm going to lead generate, and my goal for that lead generating is book 2 appointments. I have to think to myself, well, how long do I believe that's going to take? Is that going to take 45 minutes? Is it going to take a half an hour? Is it, how long is that going to take? See, the old way of thinking was we sit down, we say, well, I'm going to lead generate every single day and I'm going to do it for 2 hours a day. Right. And we just block that off all the way across. And so this is how we want you to look at it, is identify these top priorities, and then looking at each of the priorities, decide or guess how long you believe that's going to take. If it's only going to take 35 minutes, then you block for 35 minutes on your calendar for that specific task. And here's why: because it makes you focus on the time and not the task. And see, all work expands to fill the time allowed. See, you will find a way to get that thing done in that time that you slotted for. Make sense? I trust. So it's a totally different way of looking at it. Forget about the time blocking thing. If you've got your calendar all time blocked and it's not necessarily working for you, it's a half working for you, throw that shit out the window and try it this way. Trust me when I tell you that. And just and do it on a daily or every couple of days or whatever you think is going to work best for you. Now, of course, we've all got our appointments that have to be on there. We've got things that are scheduled out and so on and so forth. Of course, we're talking more specifically about those tasks, those things that you have to do every single day as a real estate agent, or some of those new things that come up, right? So that's what we're sort of referring to. Sorry, Deb.
Curtis, I would love it. Instead of you said lead generate, I would rather you say talk to 10 people about real estate, right? Instead of lead generate, that's general. But if you talk to 10 people in 10 minutes, guess what? You're done, because you hit your goal. And then what that also allows you to do over time is become a better estimator at time. So maybe you say your goal is to talk to 10 people and you block an hour. And today you talk to 6. And tomorrow you talk to 6. The next day you talk to 6. And the next day you talk to 6. You go, oh, an hour isn't enough time. for me to consistently. So what you're also doing is you're training your brain to learn what it takes to actually accomplish that. So the thing that's the beneficial is that you're also learning. You're making a guess on your time. You're then tracking it. Did I or did I not accomplish that task during that time? I did not. What did I learn? Well, I learned it takes longer, or I learned it doesn't take that long, right? And I promise you, when you narrow that time, if you say, I want to talk to 10 people in an hour, I believe there's a self-fulfilling prophecy that when you claim or declare, I'm going to talk to 10 people in an hour, I don't know what happens, but some sort of magic starts to happen. You know, if you make 4 calls and nobody answer, your brain starts saying, well, who can I call that will answer? Now you start coming strategic about, I got to get 10 done in an hour. Let me be better at focusing on who I'm talking to so I can get those 10. Make sense?
Well, it does, Deb, 100%. And then think about it. And we've all experienced this before. Think about a time when you guys were going on vacation, how absolutely positively productive you were those final 1 to 2 days right before you went on vacation. For some reason, you managed to get everything done. And the reason is because you knew in your mind, I've only got X amount of time and I've got all of this to do. And therefore you focused on the time, not necessarily the task. And you managed to get it all done right before you got on that airplane to go wherever the hell you were going, right? So anyway, all right, Tom, you look like you want to say something. Go ahead.
So, thank you. Yes, you guys are dead on. And so this morning yesterday I had a conversation with Steve Pugh. I talked to Steve quite a bit, Curtis. I talked to a lot of you quite a bit. And Steve said, I didn't get home till late the other day. I said, well, what are you talking about? He goes, man, I was on my way home. My accountability partner called me and said, hey, Steve, did you get your contacts in? And he said, no. So he said, well, where are you going? He goes, well, I'm going home at 7 o'clock at night. He goes, well, you need 5 more contacts. He goes, well, it's late. I'm not going to call people now. He goes, no, it's only 4 o'clock in California. So start dialing in California. You got 5 more contacts. You got an accountability with me and I'm holding you accountable. He goes, went back to his office, got his 5 contacts, got home at 8:30. And I'm bringing this up because accountability is so important. You have someone like Steve, who's highly, highly successful and a team and he did it, right? So when we talk about measuring and Debbie talking about the calendar and everything, why is it so important to look at your calendar daily and weekly? And here's why, is because when we look at it daily and weekly, we're going to see our, exactly what we did that were money making activities to get us closer to the goal. So I said to Curtis yesterday, Curtis and I had a conversation too. And I was like, man, it's one of those days, it's one of those days where you just get slammed and there's so many things you got to do, you just couldn't get to. And here's what he said. Well, let me ask you about the things you couldn't get to. Are they money producing activities? And I said, no. So I did the activities that were money producing activities. And then I was so concerned about the other activities that I need to get done. I was getting a little overwhelmed. And he goes, so when are you going to delegate and leverage that? Right. So we had a conversation about that. But I want you to understand, Bill mentioned squirrels. And squirrels, and then there was another, we allow distractions to interfere with our most important activities. So if we can look at those daily and weekly, it will help you get on track so much faster. And whether you've been in this industry for years and years and years, it's so easy to get off track. Jamal says it all the time. I love when he jumps in about the recruiting with the military. And he always says that we have to look at the numbers, right? So math is real. Numbers are real. right? The numbers tell us the story and the score. And if we're looking to achieve greatness and we're not putting in the work, right? Isn't that what Ibrahim said yesterday too? And I've heard this many times. You want to be paid like a professional athlete, but you don't want to do the damn work. So what makes you think you're entitled to getting paid the big bucks? Because if you're sitting there not doing the activities, but you know what you have to do because you got it written down, but you still don't do it, it doesn't make sense to me. So I fall into it too. So we all do. And that's where accountability coaching and guidance from our organization and our people is so important. So if you feel, we have 70 people on this call, if you feel a disconnect of your goals and your activities, you have 70 people, 900 people in our organization that you can connect with, whether you know them or you don't. And I would be floored if somebody said, hey, Donna, no, I would not help you. You know, we got a call, I got a text yesterday, and she said, hey, can I get with you and George for 15 to 20 minutes? We put her in the calendar immediately. All right. Whether your production is brand new or whether you're at a high level of production, if you need a conversation, if you need some support, that's what we're here for. But the thing starts with you. So accountability, your calendar. Deb, I love the thing about the calendar. I don't color code mine. I just put it in the darn thing. And if it's there, it exists. But here's what I will tell you. I messed up with DJ earlier this week, I think it was. We agreed on a time to meet. I didn't put it in my calendar because I agreed to it and didn't go back and look at it, put it in my calendar. And I kind of left her hanging. It's not cool. So when you commit to something, make sure you take the time to put it in your calendar because we all get busy. Kids, life, family, squirrels, everything. So thank you guys for sharing that today because it makes so much sense. We allow distractions to interfere with our most important things. And the biggest distraction we have in our world today is social media, which is completely somebody wanting to put how great they are because they're doing so bad. Or they're looking for self-recognition for things they're not accomplishing because they have nothing else to do. I'm not saying everyone, but we fall into the social media poison and it really literally takes us away from our full potential.
Hey, Tom, you know, we're on here and we have the word coach, you know, in front of our name. And the reality is we struggle with accountability. We struggle with execution and we have coaches, right? It's not something that you figure out one day and you've overcome that challenge. It is an ongoing challenge as your goals change, as your business change. Put it this way, as your business grows, the actions you took today to get you to your results, the actions you took last year to finish out 2022 might not be the actions that get you to your goal in 23. And the 2023 actions are not going to be the actions that are going to get you to 2024. So if we're growing, we're always changing our goal, and therefore we're always changing our action plan. And so Curtis, me, every coach I ever know has coaches because we struggle to execute on the most important things because guess what? We get distracted. We forget to put things in our calendar. We create action plans that don't wind up getting us to our results. They're an action plan. Hey, I'm going to do this. At the end of that week, we look at it and go, that didn't move the needle. That didn't get me closer to my goal. So that's not an action plan that works. But when I'm doing my action plan, very often it can be difficult for me to see where my challenges are. So having a coach or a peer or a mastermind or accountability partner helps us see. When Steve was driving home yesterday, do you think he was aware that he hadn't made his goal? He probably wasn't thinking about it. He'd have figured it out somewhere between getting home and the next morning. Oh crap, I didn't finish out my number of calls, but he wasn't thinking about it. But his accountability coach touched base with him and wouldn't let him slide.
No.
Because here's the thing, when you let it slide today and you let it slide tomorrow and you let it slide the next day and you let it slide the next day, you don't hit your goal. In order to close 12 transactions, if you miss 2 days of your contacts, if you miss 2 days, there's a pretty good chance that you're gonna miss your goal. It's a consistent action that creates results. I see your hand up, Lizette. Do you want to share, drop some truth bombs on us today?
Is that what I do? I really don't
You
even
do.
know.
Oh my God, I take notes, Lizette, when you unmute.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually looking, I'm listening. I'm actually looking for something super important that I want to share with the group. I actually have a handout. You know, a lot of times when things start getting messy, I have a group chat with realtors that I have a group with, women realtors, and she put a video of her Christmas tree still up, and she said, and then she mentioned me, she's like, hey, Lizette, you're going to be proud of me. I still have my Christmas tree up. And I say, good. That means that you're busy working, right? That means that you're not focusing on putting that Christmas tree away and cleaning the clothes. And then, you know what I did? I took a video of the clothes that I had to put away, my room, and I said, look, it's all the same here. It's all the same here. Focus on your production, focus on your goals. Then once you get the leverage and the money or the time, you can do it, you know? And
Well, you can hire someone, Lizette. You can hire someone to come in and take that stuff down. When you have the money, money isn't time, money is freedom. Because you now have the money to be able to bring someone in to wash your floors twice a month and clean your bathrooms so that you can just tidy up in between, right? That's what the money does for you. It gives you, it buys you back your time.
exactly. So I, you know, and I told her that. And by the way, a side note, I will mention to the group, I have 2 kids in college, 3 at home, and I take care of my disabled veteran husband. Oh, she's laughing. She's on the call. But anyways, but what I mean is I actually have my mom cook for me 2 hours a day and clean. I hired my mom, and I have a full-time virtual assistant already, and we're doing pretty good so far. We've had tumbles up and down. And the point I wanted to make, why I raised my hand, is really what I wanted to say. We all give up the moment we hit that ceiling. That's where I was going to get at. The moment everything is chaotic, we miss a meeting. I missed a meeting yesterday, Tom. He saw me get in there at the last minute, one of my people that I have in my downline. But hey, guess what? I jumped in, even like a minute to say hello. And then what do I do next time? You know, let me make sure it's on my calendar. That's what I needed to do. I'm not going to mope and cry about it. I'm just going to learn from this and move forward. But a lot of times we hit that breakthrough and we're like, I'm going to give up. I can't do this. I'm not meant for this. We start allowing these thoughts to come. And that's the moment you need to put everything forward, turn on that turbo, and just go for it. And just let it blow up, however it's going to blow up. That's usually the moment. Okay. So if you're chaotic right now and your kids are complaining, that's good. That's good. You tell them that, guess what? For us to get on the other side, this is what's going to take. And something I learned from Ali, because I'm taking some of his classes, and you know what? We need to sit our family down. We need to sit our husband down, our kids, and you know what? Let's start involving them in what we're doing. There's nothing wrong with talking to them about, I'm running a business. This is going to be for all of us at the future. And, you know, we need to look at the long-term goal, and it's okay to start having these conversations. That was my truth bomb today. Sorry.
So
There you go.
I want to jump in.
Coach,
I want to jump in on something real quick. So I've heard this and it kind of resonated a little bit. When we purchase a home, if we're not paying cash, we make a what? Down payment, correct? So we're making an investment in the purchase of our home. When we go on vacation, we're making an investment in our sanity and our having fun with our family. When we make car payments, right? When we buy a vehicle, if we're not paying cash, we put a down payment and we have payments. So the payments become the accountability, because if we don't make the payments to the mortgage, to the car payments, they get repossessed, right? So we work hard to make sure that we get those paid, right? So what's the difference between making an investment in your home and making an investment in your vehicle? I don't know if that's a depreciating asset, but here's the thing. If you're making a mortgage payment, it's an accountability, because if you don't pay it, it's gone. It's the same thing with coaching and guidance. It's you're making an investment. It's not an expense. And the more that you have as an investment, monthly expense, monthly investment, you will do the work, because you're going to be held accountable to a higher standard. And when you've got a return of a 10-to-1 on that, and then you look back and go, holy cow, I'm glad I did it, because if you didn't, you'd be back 10 steps behind, because you didn't want to. Here's the thing, take a stand for yourself and stop listening to people that are not in the real estate industry telling you how to invest your money in your growth. So often, and I want to be respectful when I say this, and this may come out the wrong way, and I got foot and mouth syndrome, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you have a spouse and you're in real estate and they're not, they're going to tell you how to run your damn business, because they see it as an expense because the money's not coming in. Stop allowing them. You are running your business, or include them so they can see the advantages in it. I've met too many people that say, well, my husband says I can't pay my dues because I didn't make enough money last year. Are you looking to grow a business, or are you looking for someone to tell you what to do? And I'm not trying to, please understand, I'm not trying to be rude, but this is factual. It's like representing a young adult in a home purchase, and their parents going, oh, that's not a good investment, don't buy that home. But they're not helping with the mortgage or the down payment. Why give advice to someone that is not in your business? Why take advice from someone that's not in your business? I will tell you that is a big distraction. That's a big squirrel in people's lives. So hopefully I didn't offend anybody or their
Hey,
spouse.
Tom, here's the thing. It's very difficult if you have someone in your world that doesn't believe in you. Do yourself a favor. Reach out to Tom, reach out to Claire, reach out to me, reach out to Curtis, reach out to people that are on this call, because we can coach you around how to have that conversation. Divorce is an option, Mateo. You're hilarious. It's very difficult, right? To be in a partnership but we are experts at the dialogue that can happen, that can help you take some of the power back. Let me ask you a question. I have a series of questions. I want everybody to pay attention. I have a couple of questions. Let me ask you, do you believe in yourself? Yes or no? I'm going to say yes, because the people who are on this call are all growth minded. Nobody gets into real estate thinking they can't do it. You all are like ballsy, like I can be commission only. Everybody else needs to get a weekly paycheck, but I'm talented. So listen, you all are here. I believe in you. I know you believe in yourself. Plus you show up to this call because you believe in yourself. So you believe in yourself. I'm asking another question. This one might be a little bit tougher. What's your goal for this year? And are you ahead or behind? You don't have to do are you ahead or behind? Like, if you're like me, guess what? I'm behind on my goal. I'm behind on my goal. Almost everybody I talk to, it's January. It's the end of January. I'm behind on my goal. I will say it. You know why? Because when I say I'm behind on my goal, I now have the option, because I'm recognizing the truth, to what am I going to do differently? And Curtis and Claire and Tom are all my accountability partners, and say, did you do what you said you were going to do? No. What got in the way? Da, da, da. So listen, if you are behind in your goal, what's the consequence of being behind in the goal? Because I didn't close one, I was going to close 12. That's not the goal. But what happens when you don't hit your 12-month goal? What happens? Who are you disappointing? What car don't you get to buy? What house don't you get to upgrade? What trip do you not get to take? That's really, and we don't think about that. We're like, oh, it's 1, it's out of 12, I can make it up. But what happens is when you're off by 1, it's difficult to catch up. It's difficult to catch up, which means you may then have to, and we don't think about that. We think about it's only 1. We don't think about the fact that, are we going to go to Disney? Are we gonna get a new car? Are we gonna be able to build the foundation? Because if I don't hit my goals this year, it makes me off on my 3-year goal and my long range goal. And Claire sent me a bunch of questions that are really question. Are you waking up Monday morning without appointment set? Are you on track for your 1/4 goals? Are you surviving or thriving? Or is your business on cruise control? Can you not seem to get traction to get to the next level? Well, your answer is yes. It's kind of what you were talking about, Tom. If your answer is yes to any of those things, and I say yes to all those things, I'm behind on my goal, which is why I have a coach, then what's the solution, right? Because I'll ask agent, if you're behind on your goal, what's your plan? I'm going to work harder. That's not a plan. I'm going to make more calls. Okay. Well, if you made less calls before, what's going to change to help you make more calls? And it comes down to my favorite word, Curtis's favorite word, Tom's favorite. It's accountability. We love and hate it. The students that took grit, we knew that accountability is what makes the difference between successful agents and not successful agents. But if you say the word accountability to agents, they go, when we asked the graduates of grit what they loved about grit, they said it was the accountability. Like every single one. Curtis and I looked at each other and went, oh my God, that's what they love. So let me ask you a question. If you had more accountability in your life and business, would that increase the chance that you would actually hit your goals? Yes or no? Well, good news is that Curtis is a genius. And Curtis, about a week ago, says, we got to help these agents. We got to help them. We're on these calls. It's great. We hear ourselves talk. We get off that call. We go, hey, you were awesome. You were awesome. But is that moving the needle? Are their agents' businesses improving? And Curtis says, what can we do to improve the agent's business? So we have grit. It's not running all the time, and that helps, but it's not the answer to everything. So Curtis says, what if we offered like a group mastermind? What if we offered something that is really, really affordable that people would be crazy to say, I'm not going to do it? And what if we offered that to the people, right? Seriously, how do we help them move forward? And we know from running big offices that accountability changes lives. Masterminds changes lives. Group coaching changes lives. One-on-one coaching changes lives. It changes lives and it changes businesses. So he says, we got to put something together that can help everyone. We definitely have one-on-one coaching opportunities, right? And that's expensive. There's a high cost to that. So we mastermind, Curtis and Claire and I mastermind this week on putting together a group coaching program that is insanely, stupidly cheap. It's insanely, stupidly cheap. It's a 3-month program. It's $99 a month. It's a 3-month commitment. It's 1 hour a week, live on Zoom, in a peer setting. We're going to have the KDNA. You've heard some of our our grit graduates say how much they love the KDNA and the accountability. We're going to have some accountability, but it's going to be different than grit was, because grit was more of a mindset and action group coaching plan. This is going to have brass tacks. We're going to talk about systems. We're going to talk about scripts. We're going to talk about presentations, the things we didn't really have time to cover in grit. And it's going to be starting February 6th. So it's $90 a month for 3 months, live on Zoom, peer setting. It's going to be a mastermind, and it's going to really help you hit your goals. So if you're interested, we're not asking for payment. We're asking you to get registered. We'll reach out to you. We'll talk about it. We'll get you signed up. But if you're interested, use the QR code. If you are driving and you can't use the QR code, or you're on your camera, there is the link in the chat. I know some of you don't have access to the chat, and we'll make sure that everybody gets access to it. Let me ask you a question. We are so committed to you guys all being here in 2024. And we know for you to be here in 2024, you got to hit your goals. And so we're willing, this is a beta program. I can promise you that this $99 a month is not going to stay $99 a month because it's going to have such immense value. Curtis kept saying, we got to do it so that everybody can do it. There would be no reason that someone would say, and I kept saying, but they're going to get so much value, it should be higher. And he really put his foot down and he said, no, it's got to be accessible to everyone. So it's $99 a month, 3-month commitment. We care about you. We want you all here next year. And we know that coaching is the answer. And we know coaching isn't always accessible to everyone. So we wanted to create something that you would find value in that would help you hit your goals. Sorry, that's all I got.
Sorry, okay. No need to be
I'm
sorry.
passionate. Listen,
I think that, let me add to that, Debbie, because I think that this is incredible with the masterminding that we've done this week, and this is the reason why. So when Curtis and Debbie and myself got together and we're looking at the gaps in all of our businesses, please understand that the GPS agents that are on our calls day after day, week after week, y'all matter. And here's what's cool. Some of you on this call have one-on-one coaching and know what it's about. Some of y'all have never experienced coaching and don't know how it can excel your business. I chose to invest in my business and I went from being a $3 million producer to a $15 million producer because I invested in myself and invested in my business. Just like we invest in our families with love and affection, my gap was this. When I would wake up with a scarcity attitude, I knew that I had someone that I could rely upon and a group of peers that were going through the same thing. So I didn't feel alone. I was no longer an island. And what is our GPS group about? We're about our collaboration. So this is our collaboration to you to bridge that gap, because I know 3 people on this call, because I'm looking at your faces, have massive goals this year. And you have not backed down from your massive goals, knowing that our market has shrunk almost 25% or is guesstimated to shrink 25%. However, when you have massive action and you're staying accountable to that massive action in group coaching and have this opportunity that's affordable, which is like 1/10 the cost of coaching per month, why not take that advantage and opportunity to excel your business? It just makes sense. I don't want to look at my husband at the end of the night and say, no, I didn't make my however many contacts I'm supposed to make for the day. No, I get to lay my head down and say, I did my job today. And my job is this. It's my 30 hard every day. Every day. And what is our 30 hard? We learn from grit. We'll pass that through. And I mean, staying accountable to K&A, I say it all the time. Debbie sends me an email at 6:30 every morning. And I fill out my numbers because I am accountable. I'm accountable to my coaches. I'm accountable to my business. I'm accountable to my family. And it all boils together, which leads to a better day. So I highly recommend coaching because it will accelerate you and get your business off cruise control.
Can I say something about that, Claire? I'm actually in the process. I'm in the process of getting to reorganize again, all this stuff with coaching. I am part of a mastermind and all that too. But I'll tell you this, if you're an agent that wants to get to the level, you're like, oh, I can't pay $1,000 a month or whatever, $600 a month. Like, this is the closest thing you're going to get to for accountability, so cheap, because I've never seen $100 for, what was it, monthly, or three months? Sorry, $100 a month. That is nothing. I used to pay at KW $1,200 a month to meet with somebody for 30 minutes a week so she can make sure I did what I had to do. Literally. And she didn't care if I didn't do my numbers. I mean, she cared. I don't mean that way. But it's like, oh, well, you want to spend $1,200 and not talk about with me thing? She's like, okay, I'll see you next time. It was on the dot, start and end. You're not going to get anything like this. I'm telling you, high producers, top producers, one thing they have in common, they have coaches. And the more they produce, they more invest in coaching. You'll see that. All the athletes, even like superstars, like the celebrities you see, they all have some type of mentor coaching. All right. So if you're not really looking at, you admire all these people you have on the wall. Hey, I like Michael Jordan. I like it. Well, guess what? All these people had people to train them and help them get where that's what's an investment. So, and I'm not trying to sell Coach Debbie and that. It's not
keep
about
selling,
that.
keep selling, Lizette. You're doing great.
I'm just being very honest. Like right now, I'm part of a mastermind and then I invested because I want to get there. And I'm actually focusing on doing mindset. Because I know I need a lot of that right now. And eventually, yes, I'm going to hire a productivity coach because once my mindset is at the top level, there's no stopping me. I mean, I'm telling you now, like the world is going to go on fire, because it's once I get there and I'm working on it. And that's the thing, like what you see here, it's a chaos in the background. All right. So if I can give you some advice, if you guys are struggling to do any type of coaching, just try it out. Do the $99, show up, just show up. Just show up. That's all you got to do. Show up and just follow the lead. Let them guide you and you'll see something happen. I tell you, there's no way.
I just want to make sure that people understand what coaching is like. There's no judgment in coaching. Like Lizette said, if she got on the call and she didn't do her work and she didn't want to talk about not doing her work, coach's like, fine. See you next week. So don't think you can't sign up for coaching because you're not taking action. Coaching is what helps you get into action. And it's about understanding where the blocks are and helping you get over them. So don't think I can't tell people that I'm actually not doing it. There is no judgment in coaching. It's like, what was the goal? How did you do? How do you feel about that? What are you going to do differently? That's coaching. It really is. It's not about, oh, you said you're going to do 10. You only did 5. What happened? Nope, it isn't. It is about what was your goal? How did you do? How do you feel about that? What do you want to do differently? Right. And then even if it's 3 weeks in a row, my goal was 10. I did 2. I feel terrible. What are you going to do differently? What's getting in the way? How can I help you overcome what's blocking you? Because by the way, hi, my name's Debbie. I miss goal all the time. I miss goal all the time. But I have a coach that helps me accountable and stays focused and helps me get better each week. Right? Liz, I see.
Debbie,
Yeah.
Oh,
Liz has got her
real
hand
quick.
up.
Okay. I just real quickly, I just wanted to say, it's like when you go to school, right? Like the kids don't do their homework and the teacher's like, well, it's really for you. It's not for me. It's the same concept. Like you go to school, you're like, oh, I didn't do my homework. The teacher's like, well, it's really, I just want to put that out there. I'll stay quiet. Okay, Liz, go.
Good morning, guys, except for Tom. Really quick. No, I'm kidding. I love Tom. But no, something that I learned and is you have to know why you're doing this, guys. You have to really, truly, and understand your big why. Why you get up every morning. Like, it's not because you like to help people. It's not because you want a bigger house. That you have to psychologically understand your big why. I'm going to be there's 52 of you on here, and I'm going to just tell you what my big why is. I love my kids. I love my husband. They're part of the reason, but my big why is because I'm never going to go back to an abandoned building and live in an abandoned building again. So I know every single morning that's why I do what I do.
Oh.
So until you psychologically know why you do what you do, you are not going to push forward. So you have to dig deep, because it's not because you want to help people, guys. It's deeper than that. And I blocked that part of my life out so much. And that's why I do this. So
I got a problem with that, Liz. I got a problem with your
No,
speech.
Tom, you're bringing a solution. You don't have a problem.
No, you put tears in my eyes, okay? Thank you for sharing. I did not know that. And thank you for being so humble and vulnerable to know that that's a destiny, that was your bottom, and that bottom has to be a reminder to go, I'm not going there again. I'm not going there again. It's painful. It's lonely. It's you question your life, your sanity, everything is on the line. And thank you for sharing that. And you know what? I bet there's many people on this call that have something that they hit rock bottom on and do not want to go back there. So.
Absolutely. Like, and you guys know my story. Like, when I you know, I had to do things when I was pregnant, like we lost everything. But even at that moment, like that still wasn't really why I did what I did. I had no choice, but I blocked that part of my childhood out. And I remember going to Bold when I was with my previous organization, and I see people crying, and I'm like, what the hell are they crying for? I don't get it. I don't get it until I dug deep, and I was like, oh, like you need to have that aha moment in your life to say, this is why I'm doing this. And I know I will never go back there. So it doesn't matter how many phone calls you got to make, guys. Don't put yourself in that situation. I'm telling you, you're not alone. You have people that love you and trust you. You guys know I'm an open book, but just dig deep. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Wow.
So just to say something, Liz is a success in business because she chose to continue with coaching, because there's a difference in coaching and training. She invested in herself, her business, but first herself, because she had to dig deep to get to the big why. And she is a perfect example of a group coaching setting to a one-on-one coaching and how she has excelled. So thank you, Liz, for sharing your vulnerability. It shows.
Yeah, that's been amazing. Guys, you know, what I love most about our calls is the being very humble, sharing, understanding that we're not alone. Our masterminds are so powerful, and not every mastermind's gonna touch you in a manner for your heart or your business or whatever. But the more consistent you get on these, the more you hear, the more you feel as part of something greater and bigger than you. So I want to thank everyone for being here. If it's your after party, I gotta get. But thank you guys for being here. Curtis, Debbie, if you guys are gonna stay on, Liz, Claire, Tiffany, you know, and I'm so glad that Liz isn't still mad at me, but anyways, have an amazing weekend, and we will see each other next week.